This week on Arizona Illustrated, Michelle Curlew was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer over a year ago. She and her family are the focus of the new AZPM documentary, Winning by Living, One Cancer Story. Tonight, we have a preview. Then the Curlews and their medical team offer advice to those newly diagnosed with cancer. The hopes, dreams, and fears of U of A medical students as they face Match Day in 2003 and crossing Speedway in 1986 from the vault. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Over the next few weeks, Arizona Public Media will be presenting a number of national and local television and radio programs to help raise awareness of cancer, its treatment, and the resources available to Southern Arizona patients and their families. Today, we begin with the story of Michelle Curlew and her family. Michelle was diagnosed with one of the most deadly forms of cancer, pancreatic cancer. The vast majority of patients with this disease live a year or less. Michelle's goal is a remission, and her progress towards that goal is measured by blood tests and MRI imaging, the results of which are delivered to her every 6 weeks, like this day last November.
I need my tumor markers to go down too. They're likely a little high. Can you fix that?
Yes, I'll do it.
Today is the MRI results, and it's kind of like this is your, not to be dramatic, but it's like, you know, living or dying or kind of thing. So this will tell you if we're on our path to remission or if we have regression and the disease is grown. So I'm somewhere between wanting to throw up and like, let's go kick some ass. You know? This is the part of your life that you don't have control over. And so today, what comes next will just determine what we do. Have a great day. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Well, Michelle is very young. Typically in pancreatic cancer, we don't see it that young.
How's it going?
Good. Morning, guys.
For stage 4 pancreatic cancer, right now there is no cure for it. So really it's, the treatment is aimed at trying to help you live as long as possible with the cancer.
Dang it. Yeah, you're probably right. I weigh less here, but I'm telling you, I'm 165. Like a lot of people consider the cancer or the pancreatic cancer like terminal. It's weird because I don't feel like it. Like I just don't, I don't feel like I'm dying, and I don't feel like I'm, you know, that I'm terminal or what have you. So it's kind of strange, but at the same token, they tell you so. So you want to make sure that you plan or prepare, and you have the gift of, you know, you have knowledge, you're going to pass away. And so you take that for what it's worth. And so I think about it. I think about how to teach my children, I think to cope with grief, but without making them grieve early.
Okay. You'll call us when our table's ready?
Yes, I will.
I promise I got you a room with a view.
Like this could go ugly fast, and there's really no accountability. Like there's nothing that's going to say, well, like if you do this, like, you know, you'll get to remission, and there's nothing. So it's all like a hope and a prayer and new science, but really great, reasonable science is coming out. You should just do a real quick thumbs up, thumbs down.
I saw Dr. Akuza walk out, and I wanted to just,
Give us a hint.
but then I'm like, he's gonna give me a thumb down.
In this study, Michelle was actually only the second person in the country to be enrolled. She was the second person.
You don't want to lose a battle just to win the war. I want to win all the battles in the war.
Oh, well, you're a soldier. You know better than that. That's not reasonable.
I've seen a lot of patients that want to be a part of the cure, the discovery of cure, the advancement of science. Even when I explain to patients that this may not work, an often answer that I get in response to that is, well, you'll learn it isn't going to work. So you do learn something from it not working. So I think a patient's belief system, their energy level, they're wanting to be a part of something advancing science for the future is key.
Hello, how are you? How's it going?
Going great, you know, so...
You know, you hear people say that she beat cancer or they beat cancer, yeah, but then you think, you beat it, but you died. Like, how did you beat it? And it's like, you beat it by the way you lived. You didn't I told Michelle, I said, if this was real, I'd have crawled into a corner somewhere. And she hasn't. I mean, she stood up and said, okay, let's do this. Let's dance. And then she went out and she danced, and then she went on a hike, and she took her kids to here, and she did that. And she hasn't changed. And she's beaten it, and she's going to beat it.
I think really great news with the scans. And I said great news. The cancer in the pancreas remains the same size. It's stable. Spots of the liver have disappeared, and the lesion in the pancreas is not growing. So when we see stable growths in the liver, that's considered a win. Okay. In the cancer world, that's considered a win.
Like in all of this, I've not felt mad. And I just don't think there's room for that.
4, 5, 6.
I want them to find love, like no matter what you do in life. Like if it's a long life or a short life, that you have love and that you have the essence of the most important things in like family and friendships and the just possibility and like anything. You can have anything that you want in life and don't take no for an answer as long as you're willing to work for it and go get it. And even with the disease, like, we could sit down and play dead and that's fine, or we can go and fight for it, but don't give up. I just don't want them to think that I quit. And I think that's the most important thing is that, I just won't quit.
Our thanks to the Curlew family for sharing their experiences with all of us. And we invite you to join me for the premiere of the half-hour documentary, Winning by Living, One Cancer Story, on Sunday, March 29th at 6 p.m. on PBS 6. If past trends continue, more than 30,000 new cases of cancer will be diagnosed in Arizona this year. For the patient and the patient's family and friends, a cancer diagnosis can bring on a whole range of emotions, including fear, shock, anger, and confusion. Some of the best perspectives on how to deal with those feelings may come from those closest to the disease. And so we asked Michelle and Michael Curlew and members of their medical team for their personal advice to those recently diagnosed.
Being diagnosed with cancer, it's a very tough diagnosis for some patients. You're living your normal life and all of a sudden you hear from the doctor you have cancer. Some patients would describe it as that the ticking clock just started in their life. And it's very, very tough for families and clinicians. The best advice I give to patients is to hang in there, keep up the hope, and try to live with their family around them, try to gain all the support they can, and work with their doctors to fight this cancer and keep looking at the light at the end of the tunnel.
Shot in a beer. I think you need a pad and a pen and a really good level-headed friend. You don't need anybody who's more dramatic than you are. So, and if you're willing to want to live and fight, then you need to find your battle buddy who's willing to want to win and fight with you.
When you go in for your initial consultation, with cancer like Michelle's, that's terminal, we never wanted to know numbers, but we want to know options. So on that first consultation, talk to them about options. What are my options? So if we go option A, is there an option B, C, and D, and so on and so forth? So when you go in there and you get the test results, or you get the results, if it's good, then you're going to proceed on, your current path. But if it's bad, okay, now I got option B. So you have different options. And like Michelle, bring somebody in that's just as strong as you are, or if not stronger. Because if you do get bad news, you're going to need somebody to lean on.
I think the first thing that I would say is let's just take it one step at a time. You can't cross the bridge until you get to it, and you have to kind of take steps up to knowing exactly what's the staging, what kind of treatment you're going to need, what that's going to entail. People hear the word cancer and they automatically think the worst. So I think it's just, okay, one step at a time. Let's see What's the first thing we need to do? And then we will go from there.
I think take a deep breath, get all the facts, because the majority of people that get diagnosed with cancer, they are treatable, they do live a long time, they do survive, there's a chance for cure, is the first advice I would tell them. The second bit of advice I would give them is to make sure they have a good support network. The third thing is making sure you seek care at an institution that really specializes in cancer. Personally, I would think it would be best to be treated at a center that has people that subspecialize in certain cancers. For example, take me, I see 6 cancers, that's it. Out of all the cancers that are out there, I see 6. I'm able to keep up with all the literature that comes out for those 6 cancers, as opposed to if I had to treat everything. And then being treated at a center that also understands the value of healing the mind, spirit, a holistic approach, not ignoring exercise, your diet.
You get this horrible news and all of your friends and family like just embrace you and love you. I have never felt so happy in all of my life. The intensity of how loved and supported we are is the most incredible. You can't be miserable. I get to know, you know, that we all know someday someone's going to die. And so I think this is just like the blessing is the warning.
Have you or someone you know been recently diagnosed with cancer? Watch PBS 6 on Sunday, March 29th for another AZPM local production, Resources for the Newly Diagnosed, a live call-in program providing specific information and resources for the newly diagnosed from a team of experts who can help you find help and support right here in Southern Arizona. Resources for the Newly Diagnosed follows AZPM's latest original documentary featuring the Curlew family, Winning by Living, One Cancer Story, which premieres Sunday, March 29th at 6 p.m. on PBS 6. Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated, and you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in Southern Arizona. azpm.org. Every year in late March, University of Arizona College of Medicine students receive a sealed envelope. It contains a letter showing each student where they will spend the next several years as resident physicians. For 4 years, these students worked toward this day, Match Day. 12 years ago, independent producer Shane Selleck shot interviews with U of A med students weeks before their Match Day in 2003.
I would describe Match Day as it'll be a little bit of mayhem because you have no idea where you're going for the next 3 years. And for me, it could be anywhere from Portland, Maine to Sacramento, California.
Match Day just kind of defines what the next 3 or 5 or 8 or the rest of your life years are going to be like. I mean, a lot of people actually end up living and getting jobs and getting married wherever they do residency. So it's sort of, I mean, it can be seen as just your residency, but it actually oftentimes turns out to be where you'll end up for the rest of your life. Usually people are happy because at least you got a job. I don't know.
So
so high school and college, I was kind of groomed into that path, and I enjoyed it. And during college, I became an EMT as kind of a self-litmus test to see how this whole medicine thing was going to work out. The EMT experience, the emergency medical technician experience, was the best way I knew how to kind of begin to immerse myself as an 18-year-old.
A week before I was supposed to start at Motorola as an engineer, I kind of got scared. Same kind of thing, you know, like, who am I going to be? Why am I doing this? And I just realized that I couldn't do something that wasn't as immediate as far as helping people.
The everyday experience of being a doctor, where every day somebody's depending on you to know the right thing to do and to give them the right advice and to like just be there when they're sick and help them out. I think I really realized that that's what I needed. Like, that's what I needed to do.
I have a strong desire for high acuity medicine where I don't know what's going to come through the door, and hopefully myself and the people that work with me in the emergency department can be the first ones to at least start making somebody's day better instead of worse. And that's what I really enjoy about medicine.
Oh, it feels great. It feels so great when you know that, like, you know, I did a woman's first like pelvic exam, and I know that must have been really hard for her because I know that she was a torture victim. I don't know what kind of torture, but you know, one can speculate. But it felt great because I think she really felt comfortable, and you know, it was the longest pelvic exam I've ever done in terms of like preparing the patient and whatnot. But I think that she really felt like it was a positive experience, and to me that makes all the difference, because then she'll be more likely to come when she needs help.
I tend to see medicine as an amazing honor to practice, and it still is with all the managed care and the insurance companies and, you know, things like that. But honestly, I mean, I'm so happy with my choice, and I would do it all over again.
I've thought about it, but I've definitely tried to sort of think positive, and I was lucky and I got a lot of interviews, and I feel like I'm in a decent position, but at the same time, you know, everybody says you can't trust anyone, and even though people sort of give you winks and nods, like, you're really not supposed to put any stock in any of that. So, I mean, I've thought about scrambling, but I think I could rally a few friends.
But I do have a couple friends that I might be helping to scramble. So, and I guess, you know, I guess I can't even imagine that extra level of stress that's going to be there for people who are gearing up for that. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's just important to be on the ball with that. You know, just, you're really going to have to just take that time out and be intensively calling people and faxing and things like that. I
really hope that it's the joy of some sort of thing, but I guess there's a part of me that's I'm really scared. I'm really scared that I'm gonna look at it and go, oh no. But I mean, I think I'll be happy. I think I'll look at it and get really excited and just, hooray! But oh God, I'm scared that I'm gonna look at it and realize, like, but I really want to go to Portland, or, oh, but I really want to go to New York City. You know, like, I hope that that's not when I find out where I really wanted to go.
A match!
It's incredibly exciting, so I'm just going to enjoy that excitement.
I will definitely miss being a student and the camaraderie that goes along with having classmates.
Long before there were pedestrian tunnels under Speedway, there was a plan being seriously considered to put the entire road underground from Euclid to Campbell, as we'll see in this episode of From the Vault.
Statistics indicate the 1-mile stretch of Speedway between Campbell and Euclid is one of the most dangerous in town. There were 430 accidents there over the past 2 years, compared to 187 for the same mile on Broadway and 168 on Grant Road. Observers and frequent users of Speedway might suspect that most of those accidents involved pedestrians and bicycles. But this is not the case, maybe.
We thought it was the best plan for Tucson. We also thought it was pretty expensive. And I think that that's a big issue.
About 14 businesses and 4 homes would be displaced by the tunnel. The projected cost is $35.8 million. The project would be paid for by bonds approved by voters in 1984 that would be funded through a user tax on gasoline. The University of Arizona would finance about 20% of the tunnel over the next 11 years.
The costs for this project are now real out of line in comparison to some of the other major type of controlled access roadways.
I think a lot of people will look at the number and they'll see a big number and their first reaction is, are there other things we can spend that money on? Well, the fact is, this is money that is already there. It's waiting for us to spend.
Despite the consensus evident today between the city, the university, the neighborhoods, and the businesses, there is still a certain amount of suspicion and skepticism in the community. It will be the challenge of the supporters of the Speedway Tunnel to convince the voters to approve the idea on the May 6th ballot.
Be sure to watch the landmark 3-part PBS documentary series from Ken Burns, Cancer, the Emperor of All Maladies, next week on March 30th, 31st, and April 1st from 9 to 11 p.m. And I hope you'll tune in to watch AZPM's latest original documentary, Winning by Living, One Cancer Story, followed by a live call-in program, Resources for the Newly Diagnosed, Sunday, March 29th at 6 p.m. on PBS 6. And thanks for joining us on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.